Good morning and welcome to the Daily Cyber Briefing for Wednesday, the 10th of July. I'm Stephen Ridgway. It's Patch All Things Day, Patch Tuesday. Bunch of stuff that is out there. Today's patches, when I say Tuesday, it is actually Wednesday now, so this came out yesterday. And of course, because I wasn't well, I didn't do the one yesterday, so I'm a day out. Right, scratch that. Yesterday was Patch Everything Day. Let's start that again. Yes, yesterday was Patch Tuesday. So there are updates to that address 130 Microsoft CVEs. A couple of which are under active exploit at the moment. CVE 2024-38080, Hyper-V elevation privilege flaw with a CVSS rating of 7.8 out of 10. So if you're using Hyper-V, be aware. It is definitely worth getting that pushed out pretty quickly. The second bug that is being exploited is tracked as CVE 2024-38112. It is a bug in Windows MS HTML platform. So it patches a Windows MS HTML platform spoofing vulnerability. That one gets a score of 7.5. So again, definitely worth getting these patches pushed out. As always, said it before, we'll say it again. Patch and be damned. It's more likely that if the patches break something, you're going to be able to identify that very quickly and deal with it. Most likely, patches, certainly Microsoft patches these days, undergo some pretty decent regression testing before they're released. So they don't break things like they used to. There are also patches out there from Adobe, Adobe Premiere Pro, and other things. SAP has released 18 new security notes. Fortinet has been pushing out fixes for FortiOS and FortiProxies Web SSL VPN UI. Citrix again has been pushing out patches, and to finish off, there are others I'm sure, but Android, Google has released patches for 27 CVEs in Android. So quite a lot of patching to be doing. Good article in the Register if you want pointers as to what to do. And time for your infrastructure and admin people to take a deep breath and groan and get stuck in for another month. There is a new, although related kind of vulnerability that's been discovered in OpenSSH. So to put it in context, this is not the regression bug CVE 2024-6387. This one's tracked as CVE 2024-6409 and gets a CVSS score of 7.0. It relates to code execution in the privsep child process, allows for code execution via the privsep child process. And again, it's a race condition. It's impacting versions 8.7p1 and 8.8p1 of OpenSSH that are shipped with Red Hat Enterprise Linux 9. Now, just because it's been identified in those versions doesn't necessarily mean it isn't found elsewhere. It's just not been identified elsewhere. So the article says it only impacts those, and I think that may well be true. And bearing in mind that lots of the distros do adjust, fiddle with, generally do things with some of the packages that get bundled with the distro, and versioning may or may not get updated. Cisco used to be absolutely notorious for this. That they would, let's say, they would use OpenSSH version X in some of their devices. A vulnerability would be discovered. They would fix the vulnerability in their version of OpenSSH, which will get pushed out through the normal patch cycles for Cisco stuff, but they wouldn't necessarily update the version number. So that can cause confusion. Certainly if you're doing passive vulnerability scans where you're looking at what versions of what are installed and what known vulnerabilities there are. In those versions, you can get caught out that way. So just be aware, although they think it only, this particular vulnerability only impacts 2 versions of OpenSSH shipped with Red Hat Enterprise Linux 9. There is the possibility that there could be it could be elsewhere. So bear in mind that these SSH vulnerabilities, given the ubiquitous nature of SSH and the fact that it is one of the most secure ways of accessing Linux, Nix type devices, there's a lot of it that is actually available on the internet. So have a look, double check with Open SSH, perhaps for security bulletins from them, and in fact have a check with your distro and make sure that if there are updated versions that can be pushed out, that you've pushed those out, having first read the release notes. And then finally from me for today, the FBI working with cybersecurity agencies in Canada and the Netherlands have taken down around 1,000 what used to be called Twitter bots, but I'm guessing they're now X-bots. That sounds a bit, I don't know. It doesn't matter, renaming things, blah blah blah. So there's approximately 1,000 strong X-bot farm that was run by the Russian RT News. That's a state news channel, and has been seen to be using generative AI to spread disinformation to American citizens and others. So the FBI has seized 2 web domains and, actually they've specified it, 968 X accounts that were part of the bot farm. So, again, I've said this before and I'll say it now again. We do this quite a lot, don't we? Misinformation, disinformation, spreading alarm and despondency, influencing citizens into influencing the way they vote or the things that they are concerned about. It is very much part of the process for destabilizing countries and trying to take the emphasis away from external matters that some of these countries, as in Russia and whatever, don't want people to be thinking about. So just be aware. Historically, if you wanted to demoralize the population, you had to go and drop large amounts of bombs on their cities. Well, these days you can actually do a lot of it by just dropping a load of dodgy news and creating, alarm and despondency within a country without ever having to go anywhere near it. So it is interesting. It is true that this stuff goes on. It is definitely worth being aware that this stuff happens, and it happens at a scale which I don't believe many people either are aware of or believe. The evidence is out there, though. And, as always, if you are looking to formulate opinions on things, on pretty much, whatever, but certainly politics, blah, 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 all the rest of it, do your research and don't formulate your opinions based on things that you've seen on social media. Social media is not a reliable source of truth. Okay, that's my anti-social media rant out of the way for midweek this week. I hope you all have a great Wednesday, and